What's going on, everybody? Welcome to TeckReacts, where every beat counts. My name is Matt Tech, and we are back today with another deep dive of a President song. President just released their second single called Fearless, and it's right on the heels of a very successful launch of their first song, In the Name of the Father. Went viral. Let me say this first. I heard In the Name of the Father 2.5-ish weeks ago when it first came out. And it completely floored me. I did the initial reaction, and the song for some reason just stuck with me so deeply that I did a really deep dive on the lyrics, the production, even kind of the music theory aspect of that. If you haven't seen that, I would highly encourage you to go check that out. And that was the first time I had ever heard them. It really grabbed my attention, but it grabbed my attention on way more than just a sonic level. It really grabbed me spiritually, emotionally, musically. So when I found out that they were going to drop another one and I went into Fearless, I'm already carrying this weight of In the Name of the Father. And honestly, this one's different, but I feel like it hit just as hard in a little bit of a different way. Now, when I first heard In the Name of the Father, I thought this has to be a Christian band. Obviously, after digging a little bit deeper, it's very clear that they are not. President is not a Christian band, nor are they pretending to be. There's no worship label, there's no faith-driven mission statement. And I think that matters as well. But I think what else matters is whoever is writing these songs has absolutely come from a churched background, for better or for worse. Because these lyrics, the videos, they don't come from someone who's just guessing about faith. They come from someone who's lived really close to it. So this is someone who's clearly walked through Christianity in some capacity, probably growing up in it, definitely getting hurt by it, but still not being able to shake the reality of God himself. Now, Fearless is definitely not a faith anthem. This struck me as more of what I'm calling a spiritual autopsy. It's someone dissecting the places where belief and betrayal are tangled, and then beneath the pain and the cynicism and the raw honesty, you can hear something very resounding. They know God is real. They just don't know what to do with that right now. And this is the same thread that I heard In the Name of the Father. In the Name of the Father, that unresolved tension of someone crying out to the Father even when they're not sure that he's listening. And you can feel it here too in Fearless, and it plays out in both sound and in silence. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to break down Fearless. This is not going to be my normal reaction. I've already reacted to the song for the first time hearing it. Go check that out. This is going to be a deep breakdown. We're going to look at the music. We're going to look at the lyrics. We're going to even look at the visuals of the video itself. Now, before I start, I do want to acknowledge something. There is a musician / reactor that I absolutely love the content that he produces. His name is Chase Cameron, and he said something in his Fearless reaction that really, really stuck with me. I can't quote it, but I'll kind of summarize it here. President has only released 2 songs, and already people are trying to define who they are. We want to know who's behind the mask. We want to know what genre they fall into. We want to know whether they're faith-based, whether they're anti-religious. We want to know if they're political, if they're just theatrical. We're trying to label them so we can feel like we control the narrative. But the thing is, maybe they don't want to be defined. Maybe we're the ones actually limiting them and placing those labels on. So what I've seen in just 2 songs is that they've shown already a ton of musical diversity. They've shown emotional complexity, they've shown lyrical depth. So instead of boxing them into what we think they should be, maybe we need to let them become what they're meant to be. And that space to evolve, that tension between mystery and meaning, is, I think, what's going to make President worth listening to. So let's dive in. I'm going to break this into a couple different sections. I'm going to start off by talking about the musical structure and the production. Now, structurally, Fearless is written in D minor, and it's what Spinal Tap would jokingly but truthfully call the saddest of all keys. It does have a sonic way of carrying a natural heaviness. But unlike In the Name of the Father, which had some disjointed measure counts, it had some unusual pacing and some sonic tension built into the structure, Fearless is musically very straightforward. The verses follow a very simple 1-3-6-7 chord progression, melodic, cyclical, familiar. The choruses shift it slightly, but it's still just as simple. There's no complex timing, there's no musical chaos, just structure holding up the emotion of the song. And I think that that's the point. I think that the musical simplicity in this particular song makes space for the lyrical weight, because I do think this song is lyrically a lot more weighty than In the Name of the Father. There's no angry breakdown like in the Name of the Father. There is no explosive middle section. Instead, the emotional peak hits on the words, "I can't lie to myself." And that's where the scream lands. That's the breakdown. It's not musical, but it is internal and it is intentional. Now, the production is interesting. There's a lot of mixed reviews around the production, but one of the most fascinating parts, I think, of both of these songs is actually the vocal production. Now, there's a lot of processing on the lead vocal. There's distortion, there's layering, there's reverb, there's auto-tune, there's modulation. And that's not, I don't think it's covering up a lack of talent here. You can hear it. This guy can sing, whoever he is. The pitch is strong, the control is there, the emotional delivery is on point. So then what's with all the effects? A lot of people think that it's just to cover up the actual voice of the singer so that we don't find out who he is. And that could be true. I don't know. But for me, what it actually reflects are the core struggles of the songs themselves, the tension of hiding yourself. The whole reason why he's behind the mask. The voice is masked, just like all the band members, all the characters in the videos. It's filtered, it's warped, it's distorted, because so is the singer's identity. And the production becomes symbolic. I think that it's actually a sonic representation of the very thing the lyrics are crying out about. He's saying, I can't be fully honest because I don't know if it's safe to be yet. And that's not just artistic, but I do think that even in the production, we're hearing some soul level vulnerability just disguised in sound. Now let's look at the visual symbolism. Let's look at the video as a whole and all the different elements here. The video continues in the aesthetic of In the Name of the Father. The vocalist still wears the wrinkled tuxedo. The rest of the band remains faceless in black masks, and the singer is still wearing that politician mask. But there's something different about their costume now. Now they're all wearing these red armbands marked PR. Now, red armbands do carry a lot of historical symbolism. Most iconically, they're associated with authoritarian regimes like Nazi Germany, where they became emblems of control, power, and fear. The imagery here, I don't think, is subtle at all. The president is clearly confronting institutions that demand loyalty, whether that's political, whether it's religious, whether they're cultural in nature. He is confronting those institutions while hiding behind symbols of righteousness or order. And in the middle of all that, the masked figure is sitting at this huge desk in a ginormous, sterile, kind of bland office, staring at a little, small, very old television. Now, the television itself is static filled. It's distorted. Nothing is clear, not even the lyrics when they pop up on the television. And no matter how many times he tries to change the channel, nothing actually changes on that little television. But what's interesting is as the video goes on, he leans in further, closer, like he is obsessed with seeing what's actually in it. He's trying to see through the noise. He's trying to see through the static. He's trying to make sense of the static. And maybe, just maybe, he'll catch a glimpse of truth on the other side. And by the end, he actually begins to remove his mask slowly, hesitantly. The moment builds, and you think you're finally about to see who's behind it all, and then the mask comes off And if you watch it for the first time, like I did, I don't know who that guy is. I actually don't know who the person that everybody thinks it is looks like. So I didn't know if it was him or not. But from what I'm reading everywhere else and reading everywhere else, who we thought it was, who you think it is that's not who is actually unmasked in the video. It's not the person. And I actually, because near the end, the mask actually looks like it fits different on this individual's face. So at the end, it is clear by that part that it's not the person that we've been following these last two videos. It's not the singer. It's somebody else entirely, just sitting there and just staring into the camera menacingly. No answers, no payoff, just stillness. And then the screen cuts to black. And then in the credits are interesting because the masked figure is actually credited as Vice, not Vice President, just Vice. And I think that name says a lot. Vice is another word for immorality. It's a false self. It's the thing that we all try to cover with virtue, but we can't get rid of. It's what's left when the mask comes off. But right before the screen cuts to black at the very end of the video, there is one final detail that I actually didn't catch until I watched it a second time. There's a quick reverse sound effect, and then the mask snaps back on, almost like the system is resetting itself. The truth was too much. The illusion has to be re-secured. Then we cut to black. The cycle continues. Now let's move on to the music. And I actually want to start with something that has been all up in the air that people are kind of 50-50. I want to start talking about the children singing the word fearless or chanting the word fearless. This has been taken with some mixed criticism. But I actually think it's the most haunting part of the whole song. The word fearless is repeated over and over, but it's actually sung by children. The only thing that sounds like he's saying fearless is when he actually says the words feel less. But during those moments, a couple things happen. The music drops out entirely, and then it's children that say it. It's not bold, it's not victorious, it's not big. It's actually kind of fragile. The words fearless are fragile, almost like an echo from a memory you wish you could return to. But the voices themselves don't sound confident. They sound lost in time. I think there's a reason why he chose children for that. It's symbolic of the ideal that we've lost, the trust that we used to have, that childlike faith that once believed without fear and now feels unreachable. It actually reminds me of Matthew 18, where Jesus says, "Unless you become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven." Children aren't fearless because they're strong. They're fearless because they trust and they haven't been taught to question love yet. But the singer has. And now they're trying to rebuild what's been lost. That contrast between the children's voices and the singer's pain is what makes the song so gut-wrenching, really. It's the innocence that is still audible, but it's unreachable. Now let's talk about the lyrics of the song here. Let's look at verse 1. Verse 1 says, "Terrorized, I'm a long way from you now. Paralyzed, just another day screaming out. I couldn't feel it. Think I could be fearless now?" This is a verse that opens with spiritual and emotional trauma. The singer is far from someone, maybe God, maybe a person who once represented God, and he feels it very, very, very deeply. But the fear isn't really abstract, it's paralyzing. He says it, paralyzed. The question, could I be fearless now, isn't confidence. I think to me, it feels like longing. It's someone who remembers what peace actually feels like, but just can't access it right now. And then he moves on and says, "Take an oath, never know what you'll leave behind. I don't know, I'm just tired of your effing lies. I'll roll the dice, see you in paradise." This phrase turns pretty bitter. There's pain in commitment, because letting go of what hurt you also means letting go of the version of yourself that survived it. He's dealing with betrayal. This could be from leadership, it could be from religion, or somebody just personally close to him. The final line echoes in the name of the Father, actually. He's talking about paradise. He's talking about faith in eternity, but he has no peace about it. So he's not rejecting belief. He's just surrendering to the chaos of it. And then it moves into fearless in the children voices. Again, all instruments gone, not a call to strength, an echo of innocence lost. Sounding like the memory of childlike faith, trusting, pure, unquestioning, the very thing that the singer can't reclaim. And then chorus, the chorus words are the same. The first part of the chorus says, "Guess I'll have to wait my turn. Forgiveness is a strength I'm yet to learn." Before we move on to the rest of the chorus, I actually think this is the most massive part of the chorus. It's a quiet confession of feeling unseen, passed over, forgotten. Forgiveness is difficult, but forgiveness is core to the Christian life. And in Matthew 6:15, Jesus says, "If you do not forgive others their sins, your Father will not forgive your sins." And even as a Christian, that's a tough pill to swallow, especially if you're still bleeding. The singer knows that they should forgive, but the pain is way too fresh. But here we're struck with something reminiscent of "in the name of the Father." We're struck here again with the word "yet." Forgiveness is a strength I'm yet to learn. The word "yet" continues to give this line hope. They're not done trying yet. So then he moves on and says, "I can't bury my head under the sand and hope it makes me feel less. How the hell do I pretend? Just tell me it'll make sense in the end." They're done with avoidance. The old tricks, the numbing, the ignoring, the religious, the cliches, they don't work anymore. That tension of needing a resolution, but not seeing one. They want meaning, but they're not going to fake it. At least not anymore. And then at the end of the verse, he says, "I can't lie to myself. It F's with my health. I just want to be fearless." Now, the honesty here is pretty devastating. Faith that requires you to lie to yourself is not faith. It's a performance. And the singer here is done performing. He's hit a wall. No more numbing, no more spiritual masking, just brutal honesty. I want to be fearless, but I'm not. Then we move on to verse 2. Verse 2 says, "Paranoid, hearing voices from above. You destroyed every piece of me I ever loved, but you never noticed, been trying to hold you down." The singer is haunted and possibly blaming God, or at least someone who claimed to speak for God. The depth of the brokenness here is pretty clear. There's something sacred that was shattered. There's deep resentment. They tried to be enough for someone, maybe God, maybe somebody close to him, but were left unseen. He goes on to say, "Used to care what you thought of me, but now I don't. Will you be there when I need you? Now I guess you won't. So I'll roll the dice. See you in paradise." They've let go of the need for approval, which, depending on the situation, can be healthy. The faith that they had is 100% fractured. And even though they hope God might still be there, they've just stopped expecting him to show up. And then we have the line that returns like a weary refrain. Still no uncertainty, still the echo of former belief. See you in paradise. Then we get another fearless from the children. Fragile, aching. It's no longer hope. As you hear it more and more, it doesn't sound cute. It sounds kind of haunting. Then we get into a second chorus, which just repeats the first, but a little bit more intensity here. This time I feel that there's a little bit more desperation behind every word. The plea is to make sense of how it all now feels, even more raw. Spiritual exhaustion, more visible. Then we get into the bridge, and the bridge says, "You're chasing miracles. It's all so cynical, so I won't try to confess." This right here is a refusal to fake belief. Chasing miracles may critique shallow experiences or performative church culture. Confession, which is central to the Christian faith, is actually rejected here. Not because they don't need grace, we all need it, but because they don't believe grace is genuine in the spaces where they've experienced it. Then we get to the hardcore part. We get to, I can't lie to myself. I can't lie to myself. There's a repetition here. They've said it before, but now they mean it. They're desperate for authenticity, even if it costs them belief. Then we go into the final chorus and we get into the outro. By the end, the chorus, I don't feel like is just a song. I feel like it's a cry. And the word fearless becomes less of a goal here and more of a lifeline to hang on to. There is, but I think that there's still space here for holding on to hope. The song ends not on a resolve, but still ends with that yet. Forgiveness is a strength I've yet to learn. Small word, big meaning. They're not fearless yet. They don't know if God will show up yet. They haven't healed yet. But the word is still there, which means there's still time. Now, as a summary, some final thoughts here. This is not someone who's walked away from belief. This is someone who is trying to survive inside of it. It's someone who remembers what it's like to trust. They still see glimpses of what peace could look like, but the system that they were a part of, the voices, the lies, the static, that is what left them shattered. And now, all that's left is a chant. Fearless. Not because they are, but because they still want to be. Look, this is not a band preaching sermons, but these are not songs written by people unaware of Jesus either. These are songs from someone who has known faith, possibly lived in it, and has now been shaken by it. They're not scoffing God, but they feel like they're haunted by him. And that's why I feel like this is resonating with a lot of different people, because a lot of us have been there, knowing God is real, but not knowing how to feel him anymore. Having once been fearless, but now only able to remember what that feeling is through children's voices, even sometimes. And then that final chorus, screaming it out, they land back at the word that I still feel like matters the most, is yet. I'm not there yet. And just like in the name of the Father, that key word I think here in this song too is yet. We don't get as much of an emphasis on it, but we do hear, I can't lie to myself. I'm not fearless. Forgiveness is a strength I'm yet to learn. Because yet holds tension and faith in the same breath. It doesn't pretend, it just keeps going. And I think that's where God shows up, right in the middle of the yet. And if you're watching this and you find yourself in the yet, still searching, still unsure, still hurting, I just want you to know that you are not alone. You're not weak because you haven't figured it all out. You're not broken beyond repair because you're still waiting. You're human. And I know that Jesus doesn't run from your questions, but he meets you inside of them. In fact, Psalm 34:18 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." So if you're right in the middle, the waiting, the ache, the doubt, the yet, just know he's not far and you are not forgotten. I've been in seasons where I'm walking through it too, and that's okay. But let's keep walking together.